So today, James Comey pleaded not guilty to charges brought against him. And effectively, what it is, Trump tweets out nonsense on a daily basis and says, I don't like this person, I don't like that person. And unfortunately, because Trump is the president, he then sicks the DOJ and his administration against his political opponents. And so oftentimes these things are baseless accusations, but you do have to defend yourself because, again, Trump's sending the DOJ after you. And if you don't know, many people in Trump's administration and the DOJ actually resign because they don't want any part of these kind of things. Unfortunately, Trump does this quite a lot. They've indicted again James Comey. I guess there's investigations underway at Letitia James or Adam Smith. And they're also thinking about going after John Brennan, so that'd be the former CIA director, Fani Williams, and etc. Today, Trump is also tweeting out for the jailing of the Chicago mayor and the governor of Illinois.
You know as well as I do, the President of the United States in the last 24 hours called for you to be imprisoned. I want to give you an opportunity. We've seen your reaction on social media, but I want to hear what you have to say back to the President of the United States.
Well, let's start with the idea that this is a convicted felon. I mean, think about that, who is threatening to jail me. I got to say, this guy's unhinged. He's insecure. He's a wannabe dictator. And there's one thing I really want to say to Donald Trump. If you come for my people, you come through me. So come and get me.
What does that mean?
And these things, as ridiculous as it is to, Trump just tweets out crazy stuff nonstop. Unfortunately, again, he's just sending Americans against Americans, and he wants to divide everyone, essentially what it ends up being. The strategy that the Trump people are doing lately now is using these right-wing influencer people, and the right-wing people, their job is to go to said cities and just rile stuff up and try to pretend that there's all this craziness going on, and then therefore Trump needs to send in the military. That's what this is all about. And so I wanted to show you this guy. His name is Nick Sordor. I showed you guys yesterday, but essentially he just retweets Trump, right? Trump saying Chicago mayor should be in jail for failing to protect ICE officers. Governor Pritzker also. And one of the things that's kind of crazy about this stuff, it's both frustrating, aggravating, and also clowny all at the same time. It's like you never know, should you laugh, should you cry? Patel, who's the current director of the FBI, he was claiming there's like 110,000 gang members in Chicago.
Taking the juggernaut that is demolishing the weaponization of law enforcement and bringing it to places like Chicago. When I was there today with Todd, we learned that the Chicago city streets have 110,000 gang members. That's right. You heard me right. They had 1,200 shootings this year alone, 360 homicides. When politicians choose to side with those metrics and not their citizenry, thank God we have President Trump and this Department of Justice and this FBI going in there and crushing violent crime. And President Trump sent us into these cities quietly to set the stage, to set up for the National Guard, to see the success that we saw in Washington, D.C., in Memphis. The FBI has been leading the charge in every single one of these streets because we know how to gather ground-level intelligence, and we know how to put handcuffs on the bad guys, and we know that we have the backing of this administration. And most importantly, the agents at the FBI know that they have the backing of the American people and their government.
See, I don't know if I should laugh or cry when someone makes this statement. And, that's like, depending on how you want to count it. If you include the suburbs, that's 5% of the area. If you just want to include Chicago proper, that's 10%. So are we saying 5 to 10% of Chicago are gang members? Is that what we're saying? Like, it's just so stupid. But, the thing is with these people, like say with Patel, does he really believe the nonsense that comes out of his mouth? You never know what's going on in these people's heads. They got, I'll just say this, a screw loose. Trump's got lots of screw looses over there, and he surrounds himself with those kind of people. And I feel like, we get gaslit every day. For me, when I go through news with you guys, I just want to talk about reality. But unfortunately, we have to deal with this stuff because this is the culture in USA these days where people are just out to divide. This is what Trump administration is all about dividing Americans, getting us to fight each other, etc. And I want to show you sort of the games that they play so you can identify and realize, wow, we don't have to live this way. So, for example, this is one of their right-wing influencer people, Nick. Nick is saying, just in, Senator Kristi Noem just left a meeting with woke Portland Police Chief Bob Day, And Chief Day looks absolutely defeated. Christie just laid down the law, and Trump administration is taking control in Portland. And let this sink in, okay? So he has this video, and, you know, whether or not Chief Day is sad, I don't know. You know, you can make your own decision on that. But if I'm, say, the federal government, or if I'm the president and I'm Secretary of Homeland Security, I should be trying to go to states, like local, you know, officials, and make partnerships with people, right? Well, shouldn't that be the goal here? Just think about this. If there's indeed a national emergency somewhere, and I'm the federal government coming in to help, say there's a hurricane, or, you know, say the city's really burning down, just for example, I wouldn't want to go to local officials and just like, hey, we need to jail you, or hey, you know, we're gonna make fun of you and make you cry. I mean, isn't that just a weird thing? And so I'm pointing this stuff out because it's like it's laughable and it's sad at the same time. I don't know, should I laugh or should I cry at these things? I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. And I just want to point out what leadership looks like when you're trying to divide someone, and what leadership should be like when you're trying to unify and support people. And that's what I want in leadership, is like, you're working with each other to solve our problems together. I don't know what to say. And this is where we're at. Karen Levitt will go on TV every day and tell you how, you know, everything's crime ridden, and we got to send in the military. That's essentially what this is all about, because Trump wants to take control and declare martial law. Governor Newsom, you know, tweeted this out, kind of making fun of Levitt, because essentially what it is they're trying to send the military to my hometown, Portland, Oregon. And if you look at what's going on in Portland, you got protesters dressed up as dinosaurs, raccoons, and unicorns dancing to YMCA. That's basically what it is. And they try to pretend that everything's burning down. And it's funny because I showed you guys in the video yesterday where Chrissy Noem went to an ICE facility, and I even showed the same video to my wife, and it was from the Nick and Benny guys. And, you know, there's like, 30, 40 protesters. No, seriously, that was what was on the camera, 30 to 40 protesters. And they're trying to pretend like this is like, you know, national emergency thing. And what it ends up being, and I want to show you their strategy, is that they're out there to try to instigate stuff and basically pretend like there's, you know, a need to send in the military. So for example, this is the Nick guy, and he has this video of a protester spitting on an ICE agent. You can't make this up. Spitting on an ICE agent. And then the ICE agent gets really, really angry and, you know, tackles him with a couple other agents. And then Nick is calling for 8 years in prison, I guess. It says, and seriously, this is what he's writing. He says, you know, loser, leftist J boys facing 8 years in prison. Nobody spits on the brave men and women of the federal law enforcement and gets away with it. If you spit on a federal law officer, you will be hit with federal charges. And it's just like, is this where we're at, to where we're you know, trying to put people in 8 years in prison for spitting on someone? And often, you know, what it's like, if you guys follow sports, this Nick guy or other people, say ICE people, they're kind of like people who flop in sports. If you know what that is, you know, you can watch FIFA or basketball or whatever, and you kind of taunt people over and over and over again. And if they even just touch you at all, like, or not even touch you, basically you just fall down and you act like your leg is broken. And if you watch sports, you'll know exactly these kind of players, generally speaking, most of us don't like people who flop. It's pretty ridiculous. And it's all for show. It's all fake. Unfortunately, though, because you have people who do flop, there's some people actually believe that's reality. And, you know, you got Trump tweeting out nonstop, trying to divide people. And you got these kind of situations, for example. Professor who teaches about anti-fascism moves to Europe after death threats. And this is a Rutgers professor. Guys, I was a professor for many years. So I you know, identify with this one as well, to where I can only imagine like the kind of stuff that they would receive. I have an idea what it'd be, but it just, you know, essentially you could write a book about something and Trump doesn't like it, and he could literally tweet about you or whatever, or, you know, it's brought up on Fox News and suddenly you get all these, you know, mean messages from various Trump people, and you don't know the climate in USA, because it's unsafe if someone, I'll just be honest, like, has a gun. You guys get this. It's crazy. And in fact, I was looking at a military forum. A friend sent one along, and I can't show you the forum, but I'll just tell you what it is. Basically, there are family members who, you know, have someone sort of military, so a family living abroad, say some place like here in Korea, And what military families are talking about these days is how can we extend our stay outside the USA? They don't want to go back. Or you have military families in the USA that are like, hey, how can we get a duty station? Can we go to Germany? Can we go to Korea? Can we go to Japan, somewhere else, so we can keep our families safe? And it's kind of a crazy situation. And this is sort of why I bring up, say, what the Nick stuff is doing, or what Patel is saying, or whatever, is what you want to look for in leadership, again, is someone who is unifying people and figuring out ways of, hey, how can we work together to solve our problems of today? The thing that Trump is up to, and why you have to point this stuff out, is Trump is like basically chasing windmills is the best way to describe it, like all these sort of fake problems and stuff like that. And then we're wasting all this money to solve fake problems. And then they're wasting all this money to try to prove that there are fake problems. And that's why I mentioned, like, say, try to get someone to spit on you. And then therefore, oh, look how dangerous people are. Listen in, the National Guard, and spend all our money on that. And the people who ultimately benefit from this stuff is Trump and his buddies, because while our FBI and our military are busy, carrying out Trump's plans, they're unable actually to go after, say, money laundering or racketeering or a bunch of other stuff that they should be on. And also, like, say, with Patel's situation, they're pushing out many experienced field officers. And this is both the FBI, the CIA, people who are there to protect us. They're pushing out experienced people in many government positions. And I was just thinking about this today. I mentioned in the last video, my wife and I were visiting my wife's family for basically the Korean Thanksgiving, which is Chuseok. And one of our cousins has a baby daughter, actually 2 years old, and she's walking around and stuff like that. And it was interesting. I was just thinking about this, to where when you have experiences of being with family and meeting people from other countries, other cultures, you realize, man, we're pretty much all the same. for reals. I mean, for reals. And if you don't know, I'm American. I'm actually Vietnamese. Sometimes people think I'm Korean. I'm not. I married a Korean. I'm not Korean at all. I'm Vietnamese, and I have a U.S. citizenship. I write about in my book. But point being is that spend time with people from different places, or whatever, and you realize families interact pretty roughly the same. Play with their kids. They want their kids to be safe. They want to have healthy food, right? Job opportunities, these kind of things. And every day when I tune into what the Trump people are up to, Trump's always like, I want to fire as many people as I possibly can. I want to remove protections on your food. I want to remove protections on your environment. I want to, basically attack America and attack our system. The whole thing is bizarre to me that anyone would go along with this stuff. And then when they try to prove the reasons why they're doing said things, it's a bunch of like nonsense. And that's why they're essentially, the people on Fox News or the right-wing influencers end up looking like clowns, basically, because you have to prove things that don't exist. You have to essentially prove to everyone that Trump's windmills are dangerous when they're totally not. So anyway, that's what's going on. Please stay safe out there. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.